Good afternoon and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news, updates, debates, and my opinions and transfer news over the course of the summer. And it's been a while. It's been a while since we have been here on a live stream on YouTube. But I said the plan was to bring them back. And with the major breaking news we've got this afternoon, it just felt like there is no time like the present. And it is good to see plenty of you in the chat already. That is absolutely sensational. Pelzer, Emili, yo, Leo, Jakob, Tinsel Orca. That's a new name, I think. Tom, Electric Gaming, Ryan Henderson, Toby, NK. Good to see Miles as well. Emil Argent. Good to see you. Ethan Udall is back. Everyone's back. Not everyone's back, but plenty of you are back. Obviously, I've been doing the YouTube videos, which I appreciate the support on, but the plan is to have these kind of live streams where we can as well. And there seemed like a very good reason today. So here we go. Abdi, good to see you. Jim Heap, Jordan. Today's my 21st birthday. If I see Tottenham lift a trophy, I don't know what I'll do. Yeah, it's unfortunate that we're rooting for Manchester United this evening, but it's the lesser of two evils. And whatever happens this evening, by the way, Arsenal is going to be hot on everyone's mind. Everything tonight will be about Arsenal, even though it's got nothing to do with Arsenal, whoever wins. But we've just got to focus on the team. We've got to focus on the team that is in absolute misery town, because one of those teams tonight will be trophyless and either 16th or 17th. So that's what we've got to focus on. New kit looking fire. It is. It is. I got the new kit today. Actually, shout out, by the way, to Classic Football Shirts, because they hooked me up with this shirt. So massive appreciation to them. Jamal, good to see you. Nid is back. How much I've prayed for times like this. We prayed and we are back. But look, the Rodrigo news itself, which I don't want to keep people waiting for if they've not already seen it. Now, this has come from Plettergol, Florian Plettenberg, Sky Sports Germany, effectively. That is where this has come from. Nid is a member for 9 months. Nid, we are so freaking back. We are, Nid, the support. I mean, you've been a member for the past 3 months without me even streaming. So 4 months without me even streaming. I massively appreciate the support, Nid. Absolute legend. But yeah, this is the news coming from Florian Plettenberg today. Breaking. Arsenal are now seriously considering a transfer for Rodrigo. Talks have begun behind the scenes. The 24-year-old is a potential departure candidate at Real Madrid. It's difficult, but Arsenal are currently exploring all options for a possible transfer. Deal on. And that is good news. That is good news. It is a player that I mean, listen, if you were watching the channel when I returned to YouTube with the videos, I made that video about alternative Arsenal signings this summer when Rodrigo wasn't on the radar of anyone as far as I was aware. But it felt like a deal that just massively made sense. It felt like a player that massively made sense. And now we're getting linked to him. And who knows where that could end up. But, you know, this happened with Jury and Timber a couple of summers ago, and that worked out very well. Toby, thank you very much for the $2 Australian. How you going, boss? Rodrigo would be class for us. I'm very well. I am very well, thank you, Toby. I do appreciate the super chat, and I hope you're doing well as well. Alex Goldberg was told that Rodrigo was asking Thiago Silva about London. There you go. There you go. There's just little bits falling into place here and there. I think Hand of Arsenal yesterday. Let me bring up the tweet from Hand of Arsenal yesterday, because he spoke about it as well. Hand of Arsenal, by the way, I've spoken to him personally a fair bit. He is the best and the most responsible Arsenal in the know that you will find on social media, 100%. But yesterday he said, among other things, the narrative that Berta is using the media to misdirect is false. One example of this is Rodrigo. Berta inquired weeks ago through intermediaries to understand his personal terms. The player will speak to Xabi Alonso before deciding his future. Real Madrid would demand north of £80 million. And I think that's a reasonable price for him, to be completely honest with you. I'd expect it to be between 80 and 100 million quid for Rodrigo, if I'm honest. But, you know, you've got multiple people now confirming that Arsenal are genuinely interested in him. And yesterday, I saw that I saw Marca reporting that Real Madrid are really interested now in Nico Williams, and they could trigger the release clause for Nico Williams. Now, even if they were getting rid of Rodrigo, I still wouldn't fully understand why they would go for Nico Williams. Like, I think their current problem, and literally the reason that even before we were linked to him, I thought Rodrigo might be a possibility, is that their problem is that they have too many left wingers and not enough balance in the attack. Even if you get rid of Rodrigo, if you then trigger the release clause of Nico Williams, you've got 3 left wingers again. So I don't fully understand. And yes, Nico Williams can play off the right, sure, so can Rodrigo. But I find that a little bit odd. But if it's true, then that would 100% suggest that Rodrigo's on his way out, because you are not bringing in Nico Williams when you've already got Rodrigo and Vinny Jr. and Mbappe. You'd then have 4 elite left wingers. Which would be crazy. Saka the GOAT, good to see you. So many names coming back. Icarus is here as well. Is this new news, though? Arsenal would be, of course, interested, but it will be tricky. Well, I think the new news is the fact that it's a major journalist in Florian Plettenberg basically making it, it's serious. This isn't just like Arsenal might be interested. Everyone, like you said, would be interested in Rodrigo. But Arsenal being name-checked as the team that is now serious about it, I think is interesting. And look, I mean, we'll bring up the greenery. Of course, we'll bring up the greenery. And for Rodrigo, I mean, interesting. He's not been playing recently since he was on the bench and didn't come off the bench against Barcelona. And he's not played since. And there have been things about, he's struggling personally at Real Madrid. He's not happy with his current situation, which again would suggest he may be looking to the exit. But, a right-footed left winger. This is, by the way, the biggest misconception still is that Rodrigo is a right winger. He's not. He is a left winger. He is a right-footed left winger, like the majority of left wingers these days. But he's been forced to play off the right to accommodate Vinicius Jr., which is understandable. And he does the same for Brazil, which is, if you were a left winger and you want to be that guy that gets to cut in off the left onto his right, you would be frustrated at continually being played off the right for both club and country because of Vinicius Jr. But he's 24 years old, right? He is arguably the perfect age. He's in the same age bracket then as, he's slightly older than Bukayo Saka, but he's in that age range. But he's got a huge amount of experience and big game experience. Champions League nights don't mean anything to him. Big international games. He's got so much experience for his age. 6 goals, 5 assists this season in La Liga. 11 goal contributions in 22 starts. It's, not brilliant numbers, to be honest. It's not brilliant numbers. But I think he's such a good player. When you watch him, some of the goals that he scores, the threat that he creates. I mean, the greenery is decent. 0.28 goals per game is not bad for a winger. Plenty of shots, not afraid to shoot. Creatively, 90% pass accuracy. That is solid. And you need that if you're coming into an Arsenal team. Chance creation is really strong. Dribbling numbers through the roof. And what we massively need on that left-hand side is someone that strikes fear into the opposition. That's what we don't have. It's what we have on the right. We have it with Saka. Trossard and Martinelli fundamentally don't strike fear into the opposition. They are more than happy to leave a fullback one-on-one against Trossard or Martinelli. And it means that when teams double and treble up on Saka, we aren't able to make the most of that with the threat on the left-hand side. Look on Transfer Market for his stats in left wing this season. Yeah, that's a good idea. I will do that. Dual winner, by the way. Arteta loves a dual winner. This he needs work on. Recoveries, possession 1 and 5/3. Probably needs a bit of work on that. But then, this is where I just think you're bringing in. He's played 260 games for Real Madrid. That is ridiculous experience for a 24-year-old. 68 goals in that time. I saw his. I don't know where it is. Where is it? I never know. Oh, here you go. Seasons. This season, right? This is crazy about the numbers. This season, 5 goals, 2 assists in the Champions League. Last season, 5 goals, 2 assists in the Champions League. The season before that, 5 goals, 2 assists in the Champions League. I don't know if it was the season before. The season before that, 5 goals, 2 assists in the Champions League. Bro, we are bringing someone in that's going to get 5 goals and 2 assists in the Champions League. 4 consecutive seasons where he's got 5 goals and 2 assists in the Champions League. But again, that just shows you, like, he's a consistent top-level performer. And he's been doing all this off the wrong side. He's been doing all of this off his least favoured side. And also in a system where, you know, he's not the main guy. So he is facilitating Mbappe. Playing mostly off the right? Yeah, exactly. Playing mostly off the right. I buy a shirt with Rodrigo if he signs for sure. Yeah. I'm sorry, but if he isn't good enough for La Liga, he isn't for the Premier League. But he is good enough for La Liga. He is good enough for La Liga. That's why he's played 260 games for Real Madrid. We need to splash 200 mil on just a left winger and a striker this window. I don't think you even need to do that. Plettigo mentioned all options to make it work. Does that mean we also maybe need to look to swap him with another player? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. The only player that I could imagine Real Madrid would want from us would be Saliba, and we wouldn't do a swap deal Rodrigo for Saliba. So I don't know. I don't know who else would go their way, really. Kivior? I don't know. I don't know who else could go. Come on, guys, like the stream. Yeah, there are like nearly 300 of you in here, which is crazy, by the way. That's like the peak of the numbers we used to hit back in the day. If you can click the like button, and if you could subscribe, if you're not already subscribed, that would be absolutely sensational. He's so much better off the left. Yeah, he is. I wonder, actually, let me go on Transfer Market and see what his numbers are off the left, because that would actually be interesting. Let's see what his numbers are off the left. They are. God, there's so many ads on Transfer Market. It's such a pain in the ass to use. If you had to sign 3 attackers, who would you sign? Rodrigo, Victor Gyökeres, and Mbeumo. I've actually been thinking more about the Mbeumo signing. I really like it. I really like it. So he's played 12 games at left wing. He's got 6 goals, 6. There you go. I mean, there you go. So his stats this season, right? That's actually crazy. That is actually crazy. This season, wait, let me put it back up. He's played, here you go. He has played 29 games at right wing. In those 29 games, he's got 7 goals and 4 assists. So 11 goal contributions in 29 games at right wing. At left wing, he's played 12 games, 6 goals, 6 assists. So 11 goal contributions in 29 games at right wing, 12 goal contributions in 12 games at left wing. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. And it proves it. He is a left winger. Plettigo is so right and so wrong at the same time. Hope he's right about this one. Do you know what, right? The thing that's giving me a little bit of hope, Plettigo is normally only massively wrong when it comes to Bayern, because I think he's a bit of a mouthpiece for Bayern. So he makes things sound like they're going a lot better for Bayern than they are. When it's got nothing to do with Germany or Bayern Munich, I think he genuinely is pretty reliable. And Hand of Arsenal was saying it yesterday as well. So yeah, let's get to 100 likes if we can. If the stream's not on 100 likes yet, please do click the like button. It's really easy to do, and it's free. Think I would rather Nico Williams. Madrid players got too much of an ego. I disagree, because I don't think Rodrigo does have an ego. If he had an ego, he wouldn't have been playing out of position for the last 4 years. He'd have already asked for a move. Crazy Alexis vibes. It actually does have crazy Alexis vibes. It does. This is what I'm saying. I feel like it feels right. It feels right. Let me have a little. I wonder what his numbers are all time at left wing compared to right wing. Let's have a look all time rather than just this season, because I didn't realize there was that big of a difference, but it does go to show. Still remember him doubling down all summer that Rice was going to Bayern. Yeah, exactly. Nid has gifted a membership. Unbelievable. Nid, thank you very, very much for the support. I don't know who's just been gifted. If you've just been gifted a membership by Nid, please do make sure to thank him. Here you go. This is Rodrigo's full numbers at left wing. 78 games, 23 goals, 16 assists. So not actually quite as crazy. Not quite as crazy as the 6 in 6 that he's got this season. But that's still what? That's 20, 23, 30, 39 in 78. So it's effectively, it's a goal contribution every other game at left wing. Which isn't as, to be honest, that's not as crazily good as the numbers from this season. But we might be cooking this summer. I hope so. Shamake, good to see you. Good to see you. Sign Rodrigo, but it means we sign Watkins at centre forward. I'd take that. I don't know. Watkins just isn't it for me. Watkins isn't it for me. I know some people want him, and I know he'll get you like a decent amount of goals. If we're going to do Watkins now, we may as well have done it in January for starters. He's not even the guarantee. Like, he was struggling to compete with John Duran. Then John Duran left. Now he's struggling to compete with Marcus Rashford. And I understand that's Unai Emery's preference. It doesn't necessarily mean he's not as good as Marcus Rashford, but I don't know. I don't feel like that's the right one for us to do right now. Got to remember, though, he's improved a lot. Toby is a new member. Toby, welcome to the Rory Talks Football channel. I appreciate the support, Toby. Absolute legend. You'll love to see it. Glad to finally catch a live stream. Always miss them due to work. Yeah, well, they're not normally at this time of day, to be fair. But, yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with live streams. I think we're going to do more of these, like, short, impromptu live streams throughout the summer, which I quite enjoy. Why aren't we in for Rashford? Crazy gamble. Crazy gamble for Rashford. Rashford's on 325 grand a week, and the reporting is that he doesn't want to go below that. So immediately, straight off the bat, you'd be bringing in Rashford as currently your most expensive player on the wage books, right? Now, Saka's probably going to go to around 325, maybe a little bit more. Saliba's probably going to push the 300 mark. But if you bring in Marcus Rashford on that, everyone's going to want more money. Everyone is going to want more money. And it becomes a massive problem. And it's a huge gamble. Like, you know, it has the potential that you bring him in and then he just, you know, he's not that committed to it. And his numbers haven't been that great this season, to be honest. So, plus 40 million in a transfer fee as well. And you're not going to get a massive sell on, because realistically, if you've got, what's Rashford now, 27, 28? If you've got him for 3 or 4 years before you try and sell him, wait, how old is Rashford? I think he might be 28, isn't he? He's 27, turns 28 in October. So, yeah, by the time you sell him, he's going to be in his early 30s. You're not going to get much back for him. Injury issues as well. I don't think Rashford's the guy to go for. I don't think Rashford's the guy to go for. I don't think Watkins is the guy to go for. What do you think about the Joan Garcia situation? I feel we'll regret not signing him in a few years. Looks like a potentially elite goalkeeper. He is a potentially elite goalkeeper. The difficulty with Joan Garcia is we missed the boat. We missed the boat on him. We could have brought him in last summer. It was a deadline day thing. In the end, I mean, Edu tried to negotiate them down from the release clause to, like, he tried to negotiate them down by a handful of million. Peanuts, in reality, failed because he was trying to do that on deadline day. And they were like, if you want him on deadline day that badly, you can pay the release clause. And then he's had an unbelievable season. And, you know, now there are teams, Man City, Barcelona, at the very least, who are looking for starting goalkeepers. Chelsea as well, probably. And, you know, he's not the sort of player with the season that he's had that needs to come in and hold bench to David Raya. And the plan last season, if we bought him in last summer, the plan was to bring him in, have him play the cup games, and then maybe compete with David Raya, much as we did with Ramsdale and Raya. And Arsenal really do seem hot at the moment on having 2 goalkeepers that compete with each other, ideally. And they believe that there's a lot of value in bringing in young, up-and-coming goalkeepers that you can then sell on for profit. I saw a thing today that they think we sold Arthur Okonkwo for not enough money because he's probably going to end up in the Premier League at some point. And, yeah, unfortunately, we missed the boat on it, and I now don't see us bringing him in, which is annoying. But for fuck's sake, I've missed the return of the century. Carter, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't give much warning for this stream. We had a 5-minute warning for the return stream. But we are here. There's nearly 400 of you here, though. So please do like, please do subscribe if you want more of these impromptu live streams. But yeah, this news on Rodrigo. The thing is this, right? Yesterday, I made that video. I said we need 3 attacking players. And I stand by that, unless we get Rodrigo. I stand by the fact that we are, as it stands, well, assuming that we sell one of Trossard and Martinelli, which the general consensus is that one of those is going, more likely Trossard than Martinelli, then as it stands, we are starting next season with Martinelli, Kai Havertz, and Bukayo Saka. That is it. Gabriel Jesus is not going to be available until the end of 2025, and even then you don't know how he's going to come back. Raheem Sterling's leaving. You've arguably got Nwaneri then as your 4th option. You need 3 senior attacking players to come in. The only way I think you don't is if you bring in Rodrigo, because he can play off the right-hand side. But that's it. Lukey has been a member for 11 months. Unbelievable support from Lukey. Absolute legend. Supports the Twitch streams as well. I appreciate it, Lukey. And thank you for continuing to be a member whilst we weren't streaming. That is quality. Thoughts on the new leaked kit? Yeah, interesting. I'm actually going to make a TikTok on the Talks Arsenal account about the new leaked away kit. It's one of those that I think our performances in it will dictate whether or not we like it. Because in some ways, it doesn't feel like an Arsenal kit. I don't know what it is about it. Like, it doesn't feel like much of an Arsenal kit. I quite like it in general. But yeah, I'm going to make a video on that after we wrap up this stream. I love this, though. I'm a huge fan of this kit, I have to say. The little A's, the Gothic A's that are all over it. This feels Arsenal. Just majority red, bit of white, nothing else. Like, this feels like an Arsenal kit. What happened to the white one? The white one, I believe in the leak, the white one was the third kit. So, but I don't think it quite looks the same as that leak, because that leak looked unreal. But I don't know if it will be that. Why can't we get Jonathan David as a free for free as a backup striker? I mean, you could if you went and got Victor Gyökeres or Benjamin Sesko and Jonathan David. I wouldn't mind that. I guess wages might be the only issue. I think he's looking for quite big wages. And Napoli are in for him. I think Napoli are leading the race for Jonathan David. I mean, I do think it's strange that there aren't more Premier League clubs in for him. But, yeah. I'm glad that the blue is out of the shirt. It didn't feel like an Arsenal home kit. I didn't mind the blue too much. Like, there is a bit of blue on the Arsenal badge. But yeah, I agree. I do prefer just red and white. Seeing it shading Newcastle felt proper Arsenal. Basically, just red, and it was lovely. Yeah. No, it looked good. The players look good in it as well. Wages, we're not getting another 2 strikers with Jesus on the... Yeah, Jesus is a big problem. But I genuinely think we just have to... Like, it's tough because he's on 265 grand a week. Like, he is still... I mean, as it stands, he's still what? Second highest paid player at the club right now. Obviously, we're expecting some big new contracts for Saliba, Saka, Gabriel. But as it stands, Gabriel Jesus is the second highest paid player at the club, and it's hurting us. It is hurting us. Like, we need to get him off the books, but we can't. And I'm certain the plan was to sell him this summer. But you can't. But equally, I feel like we've just got to bite the bullet and stomach a bit of a, there's only so much you can spend on wages, but I don't know. I don't know how you get out of it. I don't know how you get out of this predicament, to be honest. What about Xavi Simons? Covers both wings and competition for Odegaard in the 10. Yeah, I've always wanted him. Always wanted. Was it 2 summers ago? I think it was the same summer as Jurdy and Timber, right? I think it was that summer where we had quite a lot of live streams talking about him. Would be a big fan. Or maybe it was last summer. Maybe it was just last summer. I don't know. I forget. But yeah, I would like him. Why do you think Nwaneri hasn't got many minutes recently? Could it be fitness or something else behind the scenes? I think it is fitness related. I think, the second he started playing a fair bit, he was getting injured. We saw that in January. If you remember, he came off at halftime away at Crystal Palace and was out for 2 or 3 weeks. Players' bodies develop differently, and he's putting on quite a lot of muscle at the moment. I think he needs to develop physically to compete at the level that we're at. And I think they're just protecting him. I think they're protecting him. I don't think there's anything going on behind the scenes. I certainly don't think that. And to be honest, to be completely honest, and people don't like to say it because he is an 18-year-old, right? 17. Is he still 17 or is Nwaneri 18? No, he's 18 now. Miles is a freak. Yeah, Miles is physically, at his age, Miles Lewis-Skelly is obscene, right? That's not normal. And with Nwaneri, I just feel like his performances were beginning to tail off a little bit, if I'm honest. Like, don't get me wrong, he was still capable of moments of magic, and he was still capable of creating something from nothing and giving us a bit of an edge. But also, there were large periods of the game where he couldn't really get involved and he was struggling a bit, and that's fine. He's 17 years old, 18 years old. That is acceptable. But yeah, that's kind of, I feel like they're giving him the summer, to be honest. Let him bulk up in the way that Miles did. Miles did it naturally, kind of over the course of the season, to be honest. Dalman will be in the squad next season, so I doubt we'll sign a 10. Yeah, I think Dalman will play quite a few games in the Cup next season. I think he's closer to senior football than people think. Like, don't get me wrong, he's 15 years old. No one expects him to be playing senior football. But I think he's a lot closer than people think. A lot closer. Watching him yesterday, like there was a clip from the game yesterday for the England under-17s where he picked up the ball in midfield, drives through the heart of midfield, carrying it. And one of the Belgian players tried to knock him off the ball, and he failed. And this was a 16-year-old. And the 16-year-old has played like 7 games for Anderlecht this season. So he's physically like capable of playing senior football himself. And he just got bounced off it by Dalman. So yeah, I think he's good. I think he'll be good to go a fair bit next season. Will we keep Vieira and only buy 2 attackers? No, I think Vieira will leave. Did you see the skills on the right wing? Yeah, he's ridiculous. The way he carries the ball, he is like, and to be honest, I think he's got a far higher ceiling, but he's like Emile Smith-Rowe in the way he runs with the ball as quickly as he runs without it. Like he is able to run at the same speed as other players are sprinting, but whilst carrying the ball. Like, it's absolutely insane. Yeah, Decat was that guy's name. Do you think Ethan is jealous of MLS? Nah, I wouldn't say so. He's got to remember he's doing a lot more than the majority of players his age. Like Nwaneri has scored Premier League goals this season against Man City, Champions League goals. What other 17 turning 18-year-olds are doing that? Not many. Lamine Yamal's doing it, of course, at Barca. It's not normal. And what Miles is doing isn't normal. Dalman looks fantastic. However, so did Ravel Morrison. I think we should pump the brakes a little. I mean, yeah. To be fair, that is the way it can go. Like, there's no guarantee that a 15-year-old ever lives up to what they could become. I saw a video the other day. I can't remember which Arsenal youth player it was, but there were clips of him when he first broke into the Arsenal team. It was a midfielder. I can't remember his name now. It was in the Wenger era. He was playing alongside like Ramsey, Wilshere, and he was meant to be great. And then a couple of injuries as a teenager, and it just never came to be. Foden only had a handful of appearances a season until he was 21. Yeah, it's not normal. Zelalem. Yeah, I think it was Zelalem. Not Aziz. No, it wasn't Aziz. It was Zelalem. Yeah. Marley Salmon, remember the name? Yeah, look, there are other youth players coming through Jack Porter. Jack Porter, the goalkeeper. We saw him. Was it against Preston this year that we saw Jack Porter play? We definitely saw him once, maybe twice. I think once this season. He was in goal for the England under-17s, and he looked great. Looked really, really good. Was it Bolton? It was either Bolton or Preston. Why is everyone sleeping on Minter? We could easily sign him, and he'd be a very good and younger than Mbeumo. I like Mbeumo. Minter is good. Minter is good. I would scream if we got Rodrigo. Yeah, for those of you who weren't here, the news on Rodrigo is this. This came from Florian Plettenberg. Understand Arsenal are now seriously considering a transfer for Rodrigo. Talks have begun behind the scenes. The 24-year-old is a potential departure candidate at Real Madrid. It's difficult, but Arsenal are currently exploring all options for a possible transfer. Deal on. And by the way, I mentioned that Hand of Arsenal had spoken about it. Alex Crook from TalkSport, I think yesterday or the day before, he also said that he's been told to keep an eye on Rodrigo to Arsenal this summer. So, you know, there's a lot of people in different places hearing similar things about Rodrigo to Arsenal, which I like. I like it. Nid has gifted another membership. Nid, you're an absolute legend. Whoever got that one. Please do thank Nid in the chat if you can. If you've just become a member. Nid, unreal support. It's a shame from Pletty. Outside of Germany, he's not very reliable. No, see, I disagree with this. I disagree with this completely. Outside of Germany, I think he's more reliable. I think he's more unreliable when he's talking about German clubs, particularly Bayern. You know, he was insisting that Declan Rice was going to Bayern for ages. I actually think when it comes to non-German, non-Bayern stuff, he's more objective with it. So, Dan Casey's another name, yeah, from the under-18s, 18 goals this season. Hey, Rory, off-topic question, but what motivates you in life? What motivates me in life? Gee, that's deep. That's deep. I don't know, really. Not a lot. Not a lot. I don't know. What motivates people in life? I've got to pay my landlord at the end of every month. That's pretty much that. I have to pay my landlord. That motivates me. Yeah, I don't know. We're all just getting by, aren't we? I'll cry if Tottenham win today. Yeah, we need an Arsenal win. Arsenal win, United win. Arsenal motivate me. Do Arsenal motivate me? Family? Yeah, family motivate me, but yeah, I don't know. The way he dribbles and strikes the ball is identical to Alexis. Yeah, he's just got that explosiveness. He's got that explosiveness where out of nowhere he can just suddenly he's gone past two players. Are you doing a watch along? No, I don't think I'm going to do a watch along. Unfortunately. Mbeumo, what was that? Mbeumo to us reminds me of when Liverpool signed Mane from Southampton. Could be. The biggest thing with Mbeumo is that he's way younger than people think. People forget Brian Mbeumo is 25 years old. I think people think he's 27, 28. I think it's because of his hair, to be honest. I think it's the fact he's bald. But he's only 25 years old. Rodrigo, Gyökeres, Saka frontline wins the Premier League. Yeah. By the way, anyone that thinks Gyökeres would struggle in the Premier League, with Saka and Rodrigo either side of him, with his ability to just get the ball into the back of the net, it would be unbelievable. It would be unbelievable. At what point do we move on from Ødegaard? I give him at least next season. I actually think, by the way, towards the end of this season, he's been getting better. Still not anywhere near his best, but towards the end of this season, I think he's been getting better. But I think people are still in that mode of everything he does, they want to jump on. Everything he does, they think is the wrong thing to do, the bad thing to do. But I actually think he's getting better. Give him the summer off. You know, I think two things massively affected him this season. I think the injury massively affected him. I think even when he came back from it, I don't think it was fully healed. And I think he's still very worried about hurting it again. And the other thing I think genuinely affected him is being a father. And there have been quite a few people that have mentioned him being a really full, hands-on father. And that takes a lot out of someone. So I think give him the summer. Let him have a proper rest, proper recovery, come back fully fit, fresh next season. And I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be all right. If it's not, if next season he plays the same as he has done this season, then you have to start looking at upgrading. But yeah, I would give him one more. If they double up on Saka and Rodrigo, and then we have Sesko or Gyökeres in the middle, I can bet my house that we will win the Premier League and the Champions League. Yeah, exactly. You can't double treble up on that many players. You know, which is why we need to get it done. How much do we believe the Rodrigo news? He'd be my first choice if it's true. I believe we are definitely. I would say we are now over the first hurdle, and that is we are definitely interested in him. There's still a lot more hurdles to go in terms of would he want to come to Arsenal? I think he probably would. Can we afford him? That's the biggest one. But we're over the first hurdle of there's enough people from different places all saying Arsenal are definitely interested in him that this is seriously a thing that could happen. And there aren't many other clubs that can compete for him. You know, can Man City do it when they've just done Marmoush? I don't know. Otherwise, if you're talking London, you're talking Chelsea, I think we've got the advantage over them. Where else does he go? Can't go. He's at Real. He can't go to Barca. Liverpool, maybe. Liverpool would be a worrying one. But I still think, by the way, if you go head-to-head with Liverpool as a London-based club, you win. I think. In the same way that we did with Zubamendi. In exactly the same way we did with Zubamendi, to be quite honest. Did you see Marmoush's goal last night? Yeah, unbelievable goal. Unbelievable goal. Anyway, look, this is going to be the end of the stream. I quite like this. Jump on, quick, half an hour, 35-minute stream, cover the news, and jump off because I've got other things to do. There will be a YouTube video out later about Bryan Mbeumo and why I think Arsenal should sign Bryan Mbeumo. The only caveat to that is if we get Rodrigo, probably wouldn't happen, which I would be fine with. But yeah, I'm going to do that. Other than that, I appreciate you all for joining. By the way, we hit like 400 viewers, which is crazy. If you could like, subscribe, we're going to be doing more of these. So make sure, turn the notifications on. That's a good idea. Turn the notifications on so that YouTube tells you when I'm going to go live. So that when we do these emergency streams, you know. And other than that, have a good rest of the evening. We're all supporting Manchester United tonight. And I'll catch you on the next one. Until then, goodbye.